Hey guys, Philip at Trade Genius. Alright, this video we're going to check out Bitcoin price action and take a look at what's transpired since our last Bitcoin Outlook video and what we're up against and when we can expect this daily signal to fire long again, which as you know is pretty powerful and can lead to some nice continuation moves. So let's get to it.
Trade Genius.
Alright, so in our last video we said that since this area here failed to hold, we were looking for a mid-channel bounce which started but then rolled over and stops were taken out there. Then we were looking for basically a bounce here at the bottom of this pennant. This pennant, as you know, is a consolidation pattern, and so we've basically come down to it and have since bounced as we were looking for. So where do we go from here? All right, so we're on the daily chart. Unfortunately for bulls, and the bears are happy, is that we have a daily short, and that's, you know, since taking us all the way down to the bottom of this pennant, as we said in the last video probably would happen. Now, for this to fire long, probably at minimum would take another 7 days or so, 7 daily candles. And I'm going to talk about what I like here and what I don't like here. What I like here is the fact that we got a decent bounce off of this, but what we're going to need to see is some volume. And as you can see here, volume's been pretty anemic. It is good that volume declines if you're looking for a bullish case. It's good that it declines when you're going down, but what we need to see is a big bar over here, like what we had here and what we've had here. And you really want to see a big bar like this, because generally speaking, when you get a big daily bar like that, that's like $800 low to high, and most of it's, you know, green, the very big body green, you generally get this follow through up. So that to me is, if we see that in here, that's probably going to pave the way for seeing the upper part of this pennant up here. But it's going to probably meet this 9,000 range by the time that transpires, if we see something like that. But until we see like volume come in here, I think you're probably going to have a high probability that price could meander up to this level here. So you have this one trend line here and this other trend line here. So you got one and then two areas of resistance that you have to work through. Okay, so the bulls have their work cut out for them. So if I don't see any change in volume, a high likelihood is that we get up to this level here, 7,700 area or so, and then a chance that we're going to pull back and retest this area down here. I think that's basically what volume is telling us to expect. So unless we see a change in volume and we get something like this over here, then we're not going to, we have to expect that it's not going to hold up. This move is not going to hold up. And if you look back over here, you'll see that we had a low here, came up, almost got to our WMA20, which is the case here. That's why I think also too, this probably has, the bears are probably going to step in at this level. But, you know, it came up, rolled back over. That's really going to be the important marker here is what we do if we do get a rollover. We'll call it dead cat bounce, rolls over and gets to these prior lows. If it can hold in this area, very bullish, and then I would expect this move to really start to attack these resistance levels. So on the daily picture, that's what I'm looking at. Pretty important for the bulls that this level holds, because we've been having basically, what's good for the bulls is that we've had a series of higher lows, right? So we've had a low here, and low here. So series of higher lows, that's good for market structure. But if this breaks down, takes out this low, that's going to pave the way for more downside. And at that point, we'll start looking at support levels below. But for now, I think we need to concentrate on this level, this action right here. So again, resistance area up here at about 7,700 coincides with the WMA20 moving average and this downtrend line. And then beyond that, we'd have this area over here at around 8,000 or so with this next trend line. We get above that, then we can start looking at, and again, we need to see volume, but we get above that, then we can start looking at this 9,000 area Uh, but again, that's probably a week or two out. Okay, let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. And 4-hour chart actually gave us a pretty good tell on a good case for this pennant to hold, and that was when we had this bullish divergence. All right, so the RSI made a lower or a higher low, and price made a lower low. All right, so we really like to see that. We also had a descending wedge, another one that formed, and so we have a breakout of that. Now we saw a breakout on the larger one on the daily, very similar, where it broke out like this, but then just rolled back over. So I think we're kind of at that tipping point here for this. And I think that right now it's about 4 a.m. Eastern, so we'll see when the markets, U.S. markets open, if that has any effect on the price of Bitcoin. One thing in that regard one thing I liked was that we saw from the time that this is the S&P futures, this is the blue line. And as you can see, as we've seen a lot during the course of the week, you'll get into these areas where Bitcoin kind of moves along with the U.S. equities, the S&P 500 index or the Dow Jones index. They all kind of move together. Then all of a sudden last night, we had a pretty big divergence. There's been the news of Italy leaving the European Union. I think a lot of that's overdone news-wise, but and that spilled over to U.S. markets. But what was interesting to note was that Bitcoin took off away from the bearishness of the S&P 500. S&P has put in a V bottom and is rebounding, but I thought that was pretty resilient. And this is really the kind of thing that I'm looking for as we move on. I think the U.S. equity markets do get weaker, and I think once we start seeing this scenario here, we call that a flight to safety. That I think is going to be a big marker for the next big move up, the next bull cycle for Bitcoin. So anyway, just making an observation. I think we're starting to see the beginnings of this kind of behavior. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it. That's the outlook. You guys have the levels now, and so you can trade accordingly. But pretty key that we see some volume come in. Otherwise, like I said, I think we're probably going to retest this trend line. So be diligent, be defensive here. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Take care. If you're interested in this indicator, hit us up at tradegenius.co, and you'll be able to get that there. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Bye.
Trade Genius.